Have you ever felt like you don't truly belong here? As if the whole world is just a thin veil, and somewhere behind it, something is watching you, quietly, patiently, waiting for a sign. Maybe you have never said it out loud, but deep down, you know there is something about you that makes the world react differently. Strangers' eyes linger longer than they should. Encounters feel prearranged, and sometimes, in the middle of the night, you hear a whisper, not from outside, but rising from within your very bones. We know who you are. It sounds crazy, I know, but I have felt it too. That strange sense that invisible forces are moving around you, not to harm you, but to observe. One night, I dreamed of hundreds of eyes in the dark, not glowing red or threatening, but soft and warm like embers, all looking at me. A whisper came through the wind, low and steady. We do not hate you, we just cannot look away. I woke up, my heart racing, but not afraid. A part of me knew that dream was not just a dream. They say demons whisper the names of powerful souls, not out of hatred, but fascination. There are flames they cannot touch, only watch from afar, longing, yet helpless. And if you are one of those flames, you will understand this. There is an unseen attention always directed toward you, as if the universe itself is following every breath you take. Psalm 25:14 says, "The Lord confides in those who fear him." That verse used to confuse me until I realized fear might not mean terror, but awareness of the weight of what you carry within. When you begin to understand that your existence is not random, that your very presence is significant, everything changes, not because you are better than anyone, but because something within you commands both darkness and light to take notice. The ancients called them the chosen ones. But that choice comes not with crowns or praise. It arrives in other ways, through loneliness, through the feeling of being misplaced in a crowd, through the sense that there is something deeper, more real, beneath the surface of this world. You cannot turn away from that feeling because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. As a child, I thought I was imagining things. I told my mother I felt like someone was watching me, even when the room was empty. She only smiled and told me to pray. I did. And that night I heard another voice, not exactly words, more like a presence. It made me tremble, but not in fear. It was like a warm breeze brushed across my skin and whispered, "Do not be afraid. You are only being seen." Some nights I ask myself, why me? Why not someone else? But the answer comes slowly, through the smallest moments. When you walk into a room and the air shifts, when someone's gaze meets yours and you know they see more than they realize. When you speak a sentence and the whole conversation pauses, as if everyone can feel its weight. It is not power, not magic, just energy. A kind of energy that cannot be faked, bought, or copied. Angels and demons both recognize it. Only humans often forget, but even they respond. Some are drawn to it, others retreat. Strong souls tend to stir the air around them because they carry a frequency that does not belong to the false peace of this world. And so, whether you want it or not, you become a point of convergence. Both light and shadow come near, not to destroy, but to understand you. Above, in the realms we can only imagine, they say angels are writing. Their golden quills tremble, their ink is light, and the story they record is every breath, every choice you make. Because your existence has defied the old order. You were not meant to exist this way, too strong to be subdued, too free to be controlled. Yet here you are, and that makes them watch, record, and wonder. Maybe you never thought you were that important. But look closely. The things that happen to you are never random. The pain, the challenges, the people you meet, they all seem to be shaping a soul the world was not ready to receive. You are the paradox between holiness and rebellion, between compassion and primal strength. That contradiction is what makes you different. There will be times when it feels like too much. You will want to return to normal days, when no one noticed you, when nothing was asked of you. But remember, a flame is not made to go out. It is made to shine, even if its light makes the darkness uneasy. And maybe that is why both demons and angels cannot look away. You carry what they have lost, the power to choose. They look at you and see what they cannot have. To demons, it is purity that cannot be stained. To angels, it is freedom that cannot be bound. Both long for it, yet neither can possess it. And you, by simply existing, shake the balance between heaven and hell. I do not tell you this to make you feel above others. In truth, being chosen often means enduring more, facing shadows others dare not face, learning to trust yourself when no one else does. But in those moments, you will hear the voice of your soul, thin as a breeze, yet strong enough to move the world within you. And when you hear it, do not be afraid. Listen, because it is not the echo of madness, but a signal from a place deeper than words, a place where heaven and hell both bow before a soul brave enough to exist as it truly is. You may not see it all yet, but believe me, if you are hearing these words, if your heart stirs with something you cannot name, then the universe has chosen the right person to receive this message. And the journey, in truth, began long ago. Only now, you are hearing the sound of your own footsteps in the realm between light and shadow. There is something strange that happens once that soul is recognized. When the light within you begins to shine, the world no longer stands still. Everything around you feels as if it is awakening, the boundaries between the sacred and the human growing thin. Both realms, heaven and hell, begin to take notice. No longer faint whispers, but clear invitations, though unspoken. You can feel them, like two opposing winds swirling around your heart, one cool and soothing, the other burning and fierce. From above, the angels watch. They were taught to observe in silence, never to interfere with the flow of creation. But before this soul, they cannot stay still. They send you dreams filled with light, where you wear a crown of white fire, where the stars bow before your steps. They whisper of purity, of destiny, of a divine place meant only for the chosen. In that light, you see yourself radiant, not as a human being, but as a symbol of something beyond human understanding. Yet from the depths, another voice rises, deeper, softer, sweeter. From the abyss, the dark spirits send their message too. Not threats, but invitations. They promise shadowed kingdoms where no law can bind you, where power flows like endless molten fire. They say, "We do not come to take, but to share. You can reign with us." And in that moment you realize they do not see you as prey, but as an equal, a force even they must respect. Psalm 8-5 says, "You have made mankind a little lower than God, and crowned them with glory and honor." That verse feels written for moments like this, when a human soul stands between two worlds, courted by both heaven and hell. One offers a crown of light, the other offers a throne of shadow, and you stand between them, calm, as if weighing something that cannot be weighed. Which path was truly made for you? Perhaps it is then that the universe holds its breath. Angels and demons alike wait to see which way you will turn, but you choose neither, not out of pride, but because deep within, you know your soul belongs to neither extreme. You are the meeting point, where both forces merge and blend, forming a kind of energy that neither heaven nor hell ever planned for. That choice is not declared in words, but through your presence. A single glance, a single breath from you, is enough for both realms to understand you did not come to obey. You came to exist in your own way, unbound by the old definitions of saint or sinner, light or darkness. And that is what confuses them. They say there are souls that make the universe itself shift, as if the axis of reality bends slightly to make room for them. You are one of those souls. Your mere existence shakes the order of things. The balance between the two worlds is no longer the same. The angels, embodiments of order, whisper of a flaw in the system. The demons, lovers of chaos, realize that even chaos must bow before a force it cannot corrupt. One night, as you look up at the sky, the clouds tear open into streaks of light. You can feel something watching. Not one pair of eyes, but hundreds, thousands. Some gaze with awe, some with envy, some with wary curiosity. But you are not afraid. Your heart is calm, like still water between two storms. And in that silence, a small voice rises within. It is not they who chose you, but you who were born for this. When I tell this story, you might think it is a metaphor. Maybe it is. But think about it sometimes. Metaphor is the only way truth can protect itself. No one can look directly at something too great without going blind. So the universe speaks in symbols, in images, to reveal what it knows. And you, your soul, are one of those symbols. A living proof that the line between divine and human, between light and darkness, is far thinner than we believe. There will be nights when you feel the energy around you shift. The air thickens, time slows. You can feel the pulse of the earth, the whisper of unseen realms moving through your hair. The angels still watch. The demons still circle. But you are no longer a pawn in their game. You are the center. You are the rhythm they now follow. From that moment on, everything within you begins to change. What once frightened you now feels small. You start to understand that light does not belong only to heaven, and darkness does not exist only in hell. Both live within you, waiting to be acknowledged. When you stop fearing one half of yourself, you become whole. And that wholeness is what makes the universe bow its head. You are not a saint, nor a demon. You are the paradox that creation cannot define. A soul that knows true strength lies not in choosing a side, but in standing in the middle and not falling. Perhaps that is why both angels and demons cannot look away, because in you, they see the reflection of what they have lost. From above, I imagine celestial quills trembling in the hands of angels. They write of you not as a mistake, but as a phenomenon. Some even argue that your existence is the Creator's test to see if this world can hold a soul so free. Below, the dark spirits whisper, fearful and fascinated all at once. They call you the flame that never dies, the order within chaos. And you, amid all those whispers, simply smile, not proud, not afraid. You know this journey has only begun, and the light within you is still growing, like a flame learning to recognize itself. You do not need to choose, because you are the place where both paths meet. And perhaps that alone is enough to make both angels and demons stop and watch. Then a question echoes through the air, one no one can answer. Who can stand beside a soul like that? A soul that makes worlds tremble, that unsettles even the immortal with what they cannot understand. Maybe the answer lies nowhere but within you. Because to understand the chosen, one must be brave enough to look into both their own light and darkness without turning away. And perhaps that is exactly what is beginning to happen. From that night on, everything around you began to move to a different rhythm. It was not that the world changed. It was that the way you saw it changed. Everything felt wrapped in a thin layer of light, quiet and delicate. You started to notice details you had never paid attention to before. Repeating numbers, coincidences so precise they could not be random. 1:11 on the clock, a receipt total of 11.11, a message arriving exactly 11 minutes after you thought of someone. At first it felt strange, but then it was as if a voice inside you gently laughed. Nothing is random. This is how the universe speaks to you. The number 111, you begin to see it everywhere. It is not just a sequence, it is a seal, an awakening, a doorway opening in the unseen. 111 carries the meaning of a new beginning, of an energetic gate being activated. It reminds you that what is happening is not out of place, it is right on time. And when you begin to believe, the world around you responds, almost like it knows you have heard it. In that season, a strange feeling surrounds you, both calm and intense. The people you meet seem to mirror something inside you. Some are drawn to you as if you are radiating an invisible field. They say they feel safe or illuminated when they are near you, even though you are not trying to do anything except be yourself. But there are also others who pull away the moment they see you, not out of hatred, but because they cannot stand energy that is too real, too deep. You make them feel the part of themselves they are trying to avoid. Then you begin to understand what the ancients always said. Powerful souls do not come here to blend in. They come to stir, to awaken something in others. You stop blaming yourself for being different. Instead, you start to see a delicate arrangement in every step you take, as if an unseen hand is placing everything around you exactly where it needs to be. One morning, you wake up early, before the sunlight can slip through the curtains. Everything is so quiet, you can hear your own heartbeat. And in that moment, a clear feeling washes over you, that you are being watched, not by something threatening, but by something sacred, gentle, and merciful. You remember the words in Psalm 139-14, I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That verse touches you like confirmation. Every strange thing about you has a reason. From then on, every sign becomes a language. Numbers are no longer just numbers. Chance encounters become messages. Each time you see 111, you know, The universe is sending a reminder that you are not off your path. And strangely, what you need keeps arriving at the exact moment you need it. Sometimes in a sentence, sometimes in a look, sometimes in a song, playing in a place you did not expect. You begin to live in that flow, and everything becomes easier to breathe. Not because your problems disappear, but because you know they come to guide you. When a door closes, you are no longer afraid. You simply ask yourself, maybe this is preparation for something bigger. And yes, every time you are willing to release what is gone, a new opening appears. Almost immediately, you no longer need to control. You only need to be present. But every path asks for courage. As you walk deeper into this calling, the light you carry will make the surrounding darkness show itself more clearly. Some people will misunderstand. They may say you have changed, that you have become distant, but you do not need to explain. Old souls cannot always follow if they are not yet ready to face truth. That is not loss, that is purification. Sometimes you will feel tired, because between light and shadow, it is not always obvious where you are supposed to stand. But remember, you are not alone. Every awakened soul must pass through that place, the stage where they feel lost inside their own journey. If you are there now, take a deep breath, because it only means you are facing the right direction. The world will begin to reflect your belief. When you choose to believe that everything happening has purpose, life becomes a piece of music, and you, the chosen one, become the central note that holds the rhythm. Everything begins to come into harmony. New people enter your life carrying the same energy, the same frequency. You do not have to search for them. They will arrive on their own. The universe always knows how to pull matching souls into the same orbit. And if you are hearing this, maybe your soul is already resonating. Take this as a gentle reminder. Do not ignore the small signs. They are not random. Let your heart lead, because the mind will not understand the language of the universe. And if you see a number, a symbol, or a repeating moment that calls your attention, do not brush it aside. Pause, breathe, feel, because that might be a greeting from the very world that is calling you awake. If you feel this, I want to invite you to do something simple. When this video ends, or when this story touches you somewhere inside, leave a sign of your own. It could be the number you feel most connected to. It could be the whisper you heard in a dream. Because when you acknowledge it, you are not only sharing it with me, you are sending out a signal to the universe that you are ready. This is not a call to blind belief. This is only a reminder that you are not walking alone. We are in the same field of light, learning to see the unseen together. And if you can feel that, then congratulations, your true journey is opening. So, when the number 111 appears again, do not just smile and forget. Look deeper. It may be the message of the Creator, of the souls that protect you, or simply of the deepest part of yourself, the part that is asking to be remembered. Every sign is an invitation, and every invitation is a step on the path. And then, in the silence, you hear your own voice, gentle, steady, like wind moving across your skin. I am no longer searching for anything. I am being found. Since the moment you realized the universe was sending you signals, you began to see the world through different eyes. Light and darkness were no longer opposites, but two companions holding hands in an ancient dance. Yet the deeper you walked, the clearer one truth became. As your light grew brighter, the darkness grew curious. It did not disappear. It only changed its form, finding subtler ways to reach you. One night, as you sat alone, a cold breeze slipped through the window. The air grew so dense you could hear the silence moving. In that stillness, you felt a presence, not hostile, but deeply curious. A voice without sound spoke clearly inside you. Why do you still shine when I have covered you in shadow so many times? You did not answer. You only smiled. Because you knew darkness could never understand light that is born from within. On other nights, it tried again, not with fear, but with temptation. Whispers of promises, power, submission, pleasure, peace that would never waver. You only need to bow, said the voice, and I will place a world beneath your feet. But you had seen too much to believe such words. You understood that anything given from the outside can also be taken away. The light in your heart, as long as you hold it, no power can touch. Psalm 27:1 echoed in your mind. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? You closed your eyes, letting that verse flow through you like water washing away doubt. The darkness no longer frightened you. It became sacred, searching for its way back to light. You no longer fought it. You simply stood still, allowing it to see you. And when it looked long enough, it began to tremble, because it realized you were not an enemy, but a mirror, showing it its own reflection. People fear darkness because they do not understand it. But you, your soul, knows that all darkness was once light that was hurt. When you see this truth, you stop running. You open the door. You let it in. You let it speak the words it was never allowed to say. Each time a shadow within you is seen, it transforms, melts, and becomes pure energy again. You begin to understand that salvation does not come from avoidance, but from facing everything you once denied. Then comes a true test, a being stronger than any you have faced before. Not a shadow, not a roar, but a figure burning like flame. It does not arrive with anger, but with the allure of ancient power. It steps closer, eyes shining like falling stars. "You know who I am?" it asks. You nod. "What do you want?" you reply. It smiles, a smile both beautiful and dangerous, just to see if you are different from the others. It moves nearer, each step slowing time. When only a breath separates you, the air grows heavy. Yet what happens next defies every expectation. It is the being who kneels, not in defeat, but in awe. It whispers softly, almost to itself. The darkness cannot consume you. It reveres you. Then it fades, leaving behind the scent of ash and fire. You sit in silence, shaken yet serene. From that night, you realize your true strength is not in fighting darkness, but in making it bow. When you stand firm in your own light, darkness dissolves like mist before dawn. It cannot destroy you, because it was never truly your enemy. It only came to see if you truly believed in the divine essence you carry. Once you understand that, something miraculous happens. Every fear that once made you shrink becomes energy. Every wound that once broke you becomes proof that you cannot be broken. You start to see every challenge as a message that you are growing stronger. And instead of fearing the storms, you welcome them. Because you know only when the wind rises can a flame prove its strength. From then on, darkness no longer attacks you. It watches, it learns. It grows quiet, like a student seeing something it has never known. Perhaps to the darkness, you are a paradox, a flame that cannot be extinguished, a soul that cannot be owned. And to you, it becomes a mirror, showing just how powerful you truly are. There will be nights when you feel that coldness again. But instead of fear, you will smile. Because now you know, when darkness comes, it no longer comes to test, but to bow. It knows who you are. It remembers you were once light. And perhaps, deep down, it only wishes to feel that again. You do not defeat darkness, you make it surrender. And that is the difference between the chosen and the bound. True light does not need to fight to shine. It only needs to be itself. On the final night before dawn, you sit in silence, looking out at a starless sky. A chill brushes across your skin, yet your heart feels warm. You hear that familiar voice, distant yet close. You do not have to be afraid. We do not hate you. We just cannot look away. This time, you do not turn away. You answer softly, like a breath, I know. And in that moment, you feel a strange harmony, as if both light and darkness are bowing before something greater than them both, the free soul. After the night, when darkness bowed, you thought it was over. But it wasn't. When one door closes, another opens, this time from above. There are nights when the air feels like it's shimmering, as if the sky itself is listening. A gentle stream of light flows through the room, not blinding, but warm like a memory. In that stillness, you realize you are no longer just being watched. You are being recorded. Angels were made to guard, not to feel. But since you appeared, they have lost their calm. They no longer stand at a distance. They lean closer, trying to understand what even they cannot define. On the scrolls of heaven, golden words are written. A soul that belongs neither to heaven nor to hell. They carry both in their hands, yet are bound by neither. Each stroke of the quill trembles like a breath. They do not understand, but they know you are something that has never existed before. Psalm 139-14 echoes again in your mind. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made." And this time, you truly understand. It is not about outer beauty, but about the glory mixed with chaos that lives within the human soul. The angels look at you and see what they have lost: the power to choose. They have eternal light, but not freedom. They know what is right, but are never allowed to choose wrong. And you were born to fail, to fall, to learn, to love, and to rise again. That is what places you beyond their understanding. An angel once whispered through the wind, "Do you know? When you cry, the heavens fall silent. When you forgive, the universe trembles." You laughed then, not believing that your fragile emotions could touch something so sacred. But slowly, you began to see it is that very fragility that makes you revered. Angels are eternal, but they do not know pain. You, however, each time you break, your heart opens a little wider. From above, they begin to follow you, not as a duty, but as quiet students. They observe how you love, how you forgive, how you bear loneliness without turning to stone. They record even the smallest things, as if each tear you shed is a new chapter in an unfinished holy book. Some say the angels have begun to disagree. Some believe you are a miracle, others that you are a flaw in the Creator's design. But no matter what they believe, none can stop watching. You feel that light around you, sometimes in the wind, sometimes in the sunlight on your shoulders. One morning, you wake feeling weightless, as if wrapped in air that is thick yet gentle. Everything familiar feels alive again. The birds sing louder. The leaves seem deeper in color. Even your heartbeat sounds like a message. And in that moment, you know one thing for certain: you have never walked alone. Psalm 91:11 says, "For he will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways." Those words are no longer a distant belief, but an experience. When you lose your way, a sign arrives. When you grow weary, someone appears, maybe a stranger, who says exactly what you need to hear. A song that plays at the perfect moment, or simply a breeze brushing against your skin to remind you that you are loved. But not all light is gentle. The attention of angels carries an invisible weight. The more closely you are watched, the more exposed you feel, as if the light shines through your very soul. There is no place left to hide. Every thought, every emotion becomes transparent. Some nights you grow tired of that light. It does not judge, but it makes you see all that you still carry inside. You wish to turn it off, but you cannot, because you know, if that light vanished, you would no longer be yourself. And then, you begin to notice something else. Angels are not perfect. Though they wear radiant wings, their hearts carry unanswered questions. Some of them, watching you, begin to feel something close to envy. They envy your ability to fail, to love, to choose. You see it in their glow, a faint thread of longing, fragile but undeniably real. One night, you dream of an angel standing before you. His wings blaze with light, yet his eyes hold a deep sorrow. "How does it feel," he asks, "to have the power to choose?" You say nothing. "I once wished to be like you," he continues, "to be free, to make mistakes. We, who are called perfect, are imprisoned by our own light." When you wake, his voice still echoes in your heart, and you understand that even perfection can be a form of captivity. From then on, you no longer look at angels with blind reverence. You see them as brothers' souls, learning, failing, and seeking just as you do. And strangely, they seem to understand. The light around you softens, becomes familiar, as if you have broken the wall that once stood between you and them. You are no longer merely the observed, but the one they come to learn from. You may not realize it, but each time you overcome a trial, each time you choose love over fear, unseen hands pat your back. That is how angels say thank you, because through you, they remember what they had forgotten, that even in the most perfect realm, there is something worth longing for. Life itself. You begin to understand your purpose. You are not their student, but their mirror. You are the question that both heaven and hell are trying to answer. And between those two realms, you simply smile, walking in deep silence, knowing you belong to neither because you are the child of both and of yourself. The light is no longer outside. It flows through your veins. In every breath you take, the angels still write, still observe. But now you know they are no longer writing about a strange soul, but about a free one. And freedom, in every realm, is the most sacred thing of all. When both light and darkness have bowed before your existence, something new begins to form: stillness. Not the empty kind, but stillness that breathes, like the heartbeat of the universe. You walk between two realms, carrying both light and shadow within you, and for the first time you see they are no longer enemies. They sing together in a deep harmony, creating a melody only souls who have passed through trial can hear. But just when you think you understand it all, the journey shifts. One day, while the outer world moves as usual, you suddenly feel the energy around you stir, not as a threat, but as an invitation. The darkness returns not to attack, but to dance with you. You see it in the eyes of a stranger, in the sweet pull of desire, in the whisper thin as smoke: "Do not resist me, let me lead." And you understand, this is no longer a battle of fear, but a dance of the soul. You remember the words of Psalm 37:4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Perhaps that delight is learning to love even the dark within you, not to indulge it, but to guide it home to light. You reach out your hand and take the darkness, not as an enemy, but as an old friend. This time, you were not pulled in. You were the one leading. As you move through that dance, the darkness softens. It no longer tries to consume, but follows your rhythm, flowing, swaying, merging. It knows you have changed. You are no longer afraid. You understand now that darkness is only a shell, a trial for your soul to learn how to keep its light even when the sun is gone. And in that understanding, it begins to revere you. Then you start to notice new signs, the number 333 appearing around you, repeating like a hidden drumbeat. You see it on the clock, on signs, in dreams. 333 is the number of protection, a signal from angels that they are near. They do not interfere, but they watch, ready to lift you if you fall. It is a reminder that between light and shadow, you are never truly alone. When you sense this, a soft warmth brushes across your shoulder. It is not imagination, it is presence. You may not see them, but you know they are there. Gentle souls, guides, guardian angels, watching you dance with the dark without fear. And they smile, because you are doing what even they have never done, turning darkness into the rhythm of light. Sometimes, the darkness tries to pull you back. It reminds you of old anger, of wounds unhealed, of fears buried deep. It says, you are not pure enough. You are still weak. But this time, you do not argue. You look straight at it, with compassion. Yes, you say, I am not perfect, but I am still here, and I still shine. In that answer, the darkness dissolves into mist, quietly retreating, like a student who has finally learned its lesson. You begin to see your true role more clearly. You did not come to fight, but to become a bridge between what seems impossible to unite. You bring light into darkness, not to destroy it, but to remind it that it too can become transparent. And when you accept both parts fully, a new kind of power is born: peace. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the understanding that conflict is part of the journey. You realize that no light can exist forever without darkness giving it shape. Like a candle without the shadow it casts, its glow could not be seen. You and the darkness have always needed each other. In moments of deep stillness, you hear footsteps in the unseen, not threatening, but like a whisper saying, "We are here." You know it is them, the angels of 333, the watchers, gently guiding you when you wander. If you are hearing these words and feel that number stirring in your heart, perhaps they are speaking to you too. Leave the number 333, if it has been appearing in your life, as a way of affirming to your own soul that you have recognized the sign. Then you look around and everything familiar feels different. The air is clearer, the colors deeper, the voice inside you stronger. The world is still the same, but you are not. Darkness is no longer frightening. Light no longer distant. You stand in the space between where both merge as one. And there, you understand that true strength is not in destroying darkness, but in turning it into part of the song. From here on, you no longer follow the light, nor run from the dark. You become the path where both meet. And on that path, the universe smiles. Because you have understood what so many souls spend lifetimes seeking, that no part of you is meaningless. Every shadow is light finding its way home. And when night falls, you whisper softly, "Not for anyone else, only for yourself. I do not need to be afraid anymore." Then you close your eyes, letting light and shadow merge, dissolving into a single, steady breath. the breath of a soul that has remembered itself. Perhaps only when you learn to dance with the darkness do you truly begin to see others like yourself. No one announces it, no one gives a sign, yet somehow, in a quiet and natural way, souls of the same frequency begin to find one another. No introductions are needed, no explanations, just a glance, a few words, a subtle feeling in your chest, and you know they too are walking this path. You start meeting them everywhere. The woman who smiles softly when you help her pick up a fallen book, the man sitting silently in a cafe, eyes distant yet strangely familiar, or even a stranger who leaves a few words under a video, and something in what they say makes your heart tremble. They are all fragments of light finding their way back to one another. These souls do not boast, nor do they need to prove themselves. They are like you. They have walked through loneliness, carried wounds without names, and endured quietly to learn how to see the sacred within the ordinary. They do not need to say, "I understand," because you can feel it in their energy. Near them, you feel lighter, and for the first time, you no longer feel the need to explain who you are. Psalm 91:11 echoes, again in your mind, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Perhaps these people are the angels sent for you, not the kind with wings, but in human form. They do not come to rescue, but to remind you that you are never alone. When one of you falls, another lifts. When one forgets, another remembers. Not through words, but through presence. One night, as you sit by the window and look at the sky, you suddenly understand the chosen are never truly alone. They are only alone until they find one another. And when they do, an invisible network forms, light meeting light, heart touching heart, silent yet powerful. You can feel that energy spreading like silver threads, stitching through every awakened soul across the world, connecting all into a vast, wordless symphony. There are nights when you lie in the quiet, feeling clearly that someone, somewhere, is thinking of you, not in a romantic way, but as a soul, sending a signal you are not alone. The space between you exists only in another dimension, and when you take a deep breath and close your eyes, you can feel them, those carrying light, fighting their own silent battles, choosing not to surrender to their own shadows. A quiet gratitude rises within you, not loud, just a gentle knowing that on this journey, you are not walking alone. Your heart softens. You begin to want to share, to speak to those still searching, the souls who believe they are lost. So you begin to speak, not to preach, but to whisper, "I see you. I know you're there, and you are understood." From that moment, your journey stops being an inner battle. It becomes a lantern. Every story you tell, every gesture you make, every moment you dare to live truthfully, becomes a gentle invitation for other souls to awaken. You do not pull anyone from the dark, you simply stand there, allowing them to see the light within you and remember the light within themselves. And one by one, they begin to rise. One morning, you wake with a strange feeling that your heart is beating in rhythm with something larger, not with another person, but with a collective consciousness. All those who once felt different are beginning to realize they were never lost. They were only ahead. And as each of them begins to shine, the world slowly changes. You realize that the power of an awakened soul is not in what they can do, but in the energy they carry. Just by being, they change the space around them. Their gaze brings calm. Their words reveal truth. Their silence is enough to make wandering souls feel seen. You may not notice it, but you are doing this too. When you enter a place and the air shifts, when you smile and someone's heart softens, it is not coincidence. It is the energy of the chosen flowing through you. No need to prove, no need for titles, only to be. If these words touch you, if your heart stirs as you hear them, then perhaps you belong to that group as well. Not a group of the flawless, but of those who have walked through brokenness and still choose love. You do not have to name yourself. Just remember, somewhere, souls like yours are watching, sending their energy your way whenever you think you can no longer go on. You may call them the chosen ones, the awakened, or simply the remembering. They wear no robes, no halos. They are the driver beside you, the barista who made your coffee this morning, or the one reading these very words. And like you, they carry a silent vow in their hearts never to let this light go out. And when night falls again, you close your eyes and smile softly, because you know that somewhere Someone is doing the same breathing, the same breath, holding the same faith, carrying the same light, a light that belongs to no one alone, yet because of you, is remembered once more. Once you find the souls that move to the same frequency as yours, your journey is no longer only about yourself. Something greater begins to unfold, as if the universe whispers, "Now you are strong enough to wear the crown." But this crown is not made of gold, nor adorned with jewels. It is forged from responsibility, from endurance, from the ability to keep a kind heart in the storm. Power does not arrive as a gift. It arrives as a test. Each day, you feel the weight of the energy within you, sacred yet heavy. You begin to understand the saying, "The universe does not place a crown on the head of one who cannot bear its weight." Power is not glory. It is a burden only souls that have learned to endure can carry. That night, you look into the mirror. Light and shadow reflect in your eyes, like two living beings. You see the old wounds, the cracks that once broke you, and suddenly you realize they are the foundation of your strength. Without pain, there is no perseverance. Without loss, there is no compassion. You understand that every night you survive makes the crown on your head shine a little brighter. Psalm 37:4 returns like a gentle reminder. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. The desire of the heart is not victory, but peace within the storm. And now, you begin to find it not in silence, but within the noise of life. You no longer need to leave the world to find the sacred, for you carry the sacred within your own existence. Deep within your soul, you feel a new energy stirring, another sign from the universe, the number 555. It appears again and again, on receipts, on clocks, in dreams. You already know, when the universe repeats something, it is not coincidence. 555 is the sign of transformation. It comes as a calling. It is time to shed the old skin and let the soul step into a new phase. And this time, you are not afraid. If you are hearing these words, perhaps you too feel that energy, the urge to release, to change, to cross an unseen threshold. Listen to it. 555 does not come to frighten, but to promise that every change happening now leads towards something better. If your heart is racing, it is because your soul is receiving the signal. Share the number that resonates with you most as a way of declaring that you are ready for the next chapter. And that chapter rarely begins with light. It begins with challenge. Because before every transformation, the universe must test whether you truly believe in yourself. There will be days you feel lost, doors closing, people you trusted walking away. But this time, you do not despair. You know that for dawn to break, the night must be darkest just before the light. Inside you, two voices speak. One whispers, "Let go, you are not strong enough." The other, softer yet steadier, says, "You've come too far to turn back," and you choose the second one. You rise, take a deep breath, and feel the full weight of your soul. You realize you are not being tested, you are being shaped. There are nights when you sit in silence, feeling the heaviness of what is to come. But instead of fear, you place your hand over your heart and whisper, "I am ready." Because you know, light is not given, it is forged. And you are the metal heating in sacred fire. Every crack, every moment you think you are breaking, only makes you more transparent, like glass purified by flame, until nothing false remains. Then, something remarkable happens. When you accept what you cannot control, when you stop resisting and start trusting, the world around you shifts. Everything begins to align. The right people appear, the right doors open, opportunities unfold where you thought there were none. Not because you begged for it, but because you have tuned yourself to the frequency of creation. You no longer ask for what you want, you become it. You realize true power is not in making others bow, but in keeping love alive even when you are hurt. It is being able to look into the eyes of the one who wounded you and still wish them peace. It is continuing to believe in goodness even when the world seems to fall apart. And when you do that, the universe says nothing, but you can feel it smile. That night, as all sounds fade away, you hear a voice within. Soft as wind, you do not just wear the crown, you are forged by it. And you understand. The crown is not given to glorify you, but to test you. Not to lift your head above others, but to teach you how to bow while standing tall. It does not make you shine brighter, it makes you grow deeper. And when you truly accept that, when you no longer wish to prove anything, only to be the crown, melts quietly into you. From that moment on, you no longer wear the crown. You are the crown. The light no longer shines upon you. It shines from within. And for the first time, you realize you do not need to be strong anymore, only true. Because truth itself, unguarded and unperformed, is the highest form of strength. And that is how the chosen shine quietly, yet in a way that can never be extinguished. When the crown has melted into you, you might think the journey is over. But that is only the beginning of the deepest stage, where the soul learns to touch its own humanity. No more blinding light, no more visible miracles. Only you remain with your fatigue, your scars, and your trembling heart. And within that fragility, you begin to understand what neither angels nor demons ever could. True strength comes from the ability to still feel, still love, still ache, and yet never lose yourself. There are mornings when you wake with swollen eyes from tears, but instead of shame, you feel relief. Because you know you can still feel. You have not turned to stone. You have not let power or knowledge make your heart cold. And that alone is proof that the light within you is still alive. The angels look down in awe. The demons look up in fear. Neither can understand how a soul can be so deeply wounded and still remain whole. Psalm 34-18 seems to be carved in the wind. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. You repeat the verse silently, and it trembles like a breath. Maybe you think, that is why he stays near you, not because you are perfect, but because your brokenness is beautiful enough that he wishes to sit beside you without fixing a thing. This kind of brokenness is no longer a sign of weakness, but a mark of courage. You dared to live fully, to love, to lose, to feel. Some nights, you remember the past faces, words, moments that once seemed impossible to heal from. And instead of resisting them, you let them return. You stop running. You let them touch you again. Tell their story in a new way, not as tragedy, but as something necessary for growth. One by one, the wounds stop being holes and begin to turn into windows. Through them, light enters. You begin to see that your breaking was never meaningless. It was how your soul expanded. Because only when the heart cracks can love have room to flow out. And in your darkest nights, you find you can still pray, not to ask for anything, but simply to say, I am still here. Those 3 words are enough to make the universe pause and listen. Sometimes you ask, why must I endure so much? The answer does not come right away. But then, in a quiet moment, you understand. No one can guide others without first having been lost. No one can heal without having bled. And no one can truly understand another's pain without having fallen in their own. Every wound you carry is not a burden, but a sacred code that unlocks the hearts of others. And when you look back, you realize you have changed. You are still the same person, yet deeper, warmer, more real. You no longer speak in beautiful words, but through presence. Just being near you brings peace. People do not hear sermons from you. They feel experience. You no longer say, be strong. You simply sit beside them, silently showing that it is okay to be fragile. On a rainy night, you sit alone by the window, watching the drops fall like moments of time. Each one a memory, a challenge, a fear you once thought you could not survive. And then you realize you are still here, still breathing, still shining. Not because you were protected from pain, but because you learned how to walk through it. You understand now that courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to keep moving even while fear walks beside you. In the deepest place of your soul, you hear a voice soft yet certain. You were chosen, not because you do not know pain, but because you can love even while you are in it. And you nod. Perhaps that is the truth. Neither angels nor demons understand. They believe strength means being unbreakable. But real strength is feeling everything and still keeping your heart open. You begin to feel a quiet gratitude for everything that once brought you to your knees. The betrayals, the closed doors, the shattered dreams, all of them become teachers. They did not come to destroy you, but to polish you until nothing rough remained. Through them, you learn to love without possession, to trust without blindness, to give without expectation. And then you smile. Not the smile of victory, but the smile of understanding. You no longer need recognition. You no longer need to be called chosen. You only need to live honestly and brightly in every moment. Because now you know light is not something that makes others see you. It is what allows you to see the world more clearly. Outside, it is still raining, but within you, the dawn is rising. And in that gentle light, you see yourself not as a saint, not as a warrior, but as a human being, learning to love, to forgive, to exist among all that is still imperfect. Because in the end, strength is not about being untouchable. It is about keeping your heart open, even when you know it might break again. And that is the true miracle of the chosen. After everything, when the storms within and around you have finally quieted, a strange stillness settles in. No more whispers from the darkness, no more piercing gazes from the angels, only a clear, endless space where you and the universe merge with no boundaries left. Everything that once seemed opposed now dissolves. Light and shadow, loss and gain, pain and love, all are simply different rhythms of the same soul. You finally understand you were never meant to choose a side, because you are the meeting point, the place where heaven and hell bow to greet one another. One morning, before dawn spills through the window, you open your eyes and realize there are no more signs, no more numbers to read, no more calls to follow, because you no longer need reminders. Awakening is no longer an event. It has become your nature. You are no longer walking the path. You are the path itself. And the universe, instead of sending messages, now smiles softly through every beat of your heart. You look back at your life, the dark chapters, the bright ones, the people who came and left, the promises left unfinished, and you feel no regret. Everything was perfect, even in its breaking. Every pain had purpose. Every loss carried a blessing. You see it clearly now. Every tear you shed was a seed of compassion. Every scar on your soul is proof that you have loved, lived, and become light in the dark. Psalm 23:4 rises like a farewell to the old journey. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. And you finally understand, you is not only a divine presence outside, but the sacred part within you. That part never left, only waited for you to remember. And when you remembered, you became the very light God lit in you at the dawn of creation. From afar, the angels still watch, no longer writing, no longer trembling. They understand now that you are not a miracle to be studied, but a living reminder of the divine freedom they once forgot. The darkness no longer comes to test you. It stands beside you silently, like an old guardian who knows the battle is done. For how can one conquer a soul that has risen beyond the ideas of winning and losing? And you do not feel like a victor. You simply feel like one who has returned. You live slower now, more grateful, more gentle. You laugh easier, and you cry easier too, because you know there is nothing left to hide. Emotion, weakness, strength, all are colors the soul uses to paint the experience called being human. In the quiet of an afternoon, you watch a few young souls pass by, their eyes uncertain, their hearts searching, just as yours once were. And you realize that now, you are a mirror for them, not through words, but through presence. You do not say, awaken. You simply live, truthfully and bright, so they may look at you and remember the light within themselves. You understand now that this is the true legacy of the chosen, not fame, not power, but transformation. Your very existence alters the rhythm of the world, not loudly, not for attention, but simply by daring to live honestly, to love deeply, to forgive freely. You are proof that light does not need perfection to shine. It only needs to be seen. Now, as you walk, the world seems softer. Those who once feared, you begin to smile. Those who once left, begin to remember. Because your energy has changed, no longer sharp like a blade, but warm like a flame. You no longer need to protect yourself. The love within you has become the strongest shield. One evening, you sit beneath a sky full of stars. No prayers, no names to call. Only you and the vastness, and you understand each other. You no longer ask, why me? You whisper, thank you for me. And in that moment, you hear a voice as gentle as the night breeze. You were not chosen to rule. You were chosen to remind, and you smile. Because now you know, to remind is the most beautiful purpose of all. To remind that even within darkness, love exists. that lost souls need only a spark to find their way home, that no one is ever truly forgotten, for the Creator's light has never gone out in anyone. If you are hearing these words, perhaps your soul is being called too. Perhaps this is the invitation to become a light for others, not through power, but through compassion. Live as proof that even in the storm, love can still be present. Remember, light is never lost, it only changes form. And if you feel this stirring in your heart, share the number or symbol that resonates with you as a quiet affirmation that your soul is awakening too. The world needs you, not as a saint, not as a prophet, but as a human being who knows how to love, how to forgive, how to rise again. Because in the end, true strength is not about reaching heaven, but about touching the earth with deep gratitude. As you walk, no one will know you are one of the chosen. They will only know that when you arrive, the air feels lighter, time slows, and their hearts grow calm. And that is the mark your soul leaves behind. No titles, no proof needed, because true light does not need to be recognized. It only needs to keep shining. And you are that light. Grateful that you chose to spend these moments in the light of this story. If it touched your soul, please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell so the next whisper of light may find its way back to you.